Hello and welcome. In this video I'll show you how to install SceneWeaver on Linux. SceneWeaver is available in three Linux formats: AppImage, DEB and RPM. If you're not sure which one you need, I'd recommend starting with the AppImage. It's designed to work across most modern Linux distributions and doesn't need to be installed. We'll start with that, and then I'll show you how to install the DEB and RPM versions. So here I am in Linux Mint. So first thing you need to do is open up your browser. We'll make that full screen. We don't need any notices. And then we'll go to SceneWeaver .uk and then click on the download page and select the AppImage. Once the download's completed, we can open up the downloads folder. So just a quick note about Fuse. If you've used AppImages before, you may have encountered applications that require an older compatibility library called Fuse 2. We've updated SceneWeaver build process so that the current AppImage no longer relies on Fuse 2, so there's no additional software to install. Okay, so let's put the AppImage somewhere permanent. So the AppImage is the application itself rather than an installer. So you probably want to move it somewhere more permanent than your downloads folder. So in my home folder, I'm going to create a new folder called Applications, if I can spell it correctly. There we go. And then open the folder and paste SceneWeaver in. So we need to make sure that SceneWeaver is allowed to run, because before we can open an AppImage, we need to tell Linux that it has permissions to run. So right click the SceneWeaver application, go to Properties, and then Permissions, and then at the bottom, tick Allow Executing File as a Program. The exact wording may be slightly different depending on your version of Linux, and you only ever need to do this once for this file. So to open it, double click the AppImage, and there we are. It's going to start asking you whether you want to help improve SceneWeaver. I'd love it if you press enable, but it's entirely your choice. You may decline if you wish. And then there we see it starting. And there we are, ready to start our new SceneWeaver project. The second install option is the DEB package. This is intended for Debian-based Linux distributions, including Debian, Ubuntu, Linux Mint and many others. Unlike the AppImage, the DEB package installs SceneWeaver onto your computer in the same way as other installed applications. So here we are back in Mint, nice and fresh. So we need to return to the SceneWeaver website. And then go into Downloads, and this time we'll select the DEB. And then once the download's complete, go to the Downloads folder and double click to install. Then double click Install Package, enter your Linux password, and then it'll install. That was it, complete. So if we close both background windows and go onto here, you'll see that SceneWeaver is now in your list of packages. So if we select it, it'll let it start opening. And there we go, ready to start your new project. Finally, SceneWeaver is also available as an RPM package. RPM packages are used by distributions including Fedora, OpenSUSE and several other Linux systems. So we'll start again with the Downloads page. Here I am in Fedora with the Downloads page already open. Click Download and RPM. And then once downloaded, go to the folder, double click, and then on this screen it will tell you it's potentially unsafe only because they don't know who White Rose code is yet. And then click install. You may have to ask to enter your password. Installing shouldn't take long. There we go. And it's done. So if we close all those windows, get back to Fedora, go on to your applications, and there it is. And within a few seconds, we're ready to start a new project. So which version should you choose? If you're not sure, start with the AppImage. It works across most Linux distributions and doesn't require installation. If you're using a Debian-based distribution such as Debian, Ubuntu or Linux Mint, you can use the DEB package instead. If your distribution uses the RPM packages, such as Fedora or OpenSUSE, choose the RPM version. Whichever version you choose, you're running the same version of SceneWeaver with the same features. And that's SceneWeaver installed on Linux. You can find the latest version along with previous releases, documentation and the rest of the SceneWeaver tutorial series at sceneweaver.uk. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.